Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and Fortnite took a pretty massive L. About a $520 million massive L. Ladies and gentlemen, what does a near $500 million fine mean? Well, it's probably one of the biggest fines ever paid to the FTC, but it's also one thing that might shake up the entire world of social media UIs and, well, UI in general, user design. In fact, it's actually put Fortnite into a bit of a crosshair. Look, it wasn't long ago that I talked about Canadian parents suing Fortnite over video game addictions. And you know what? While we could laugh about a million things, this case actually puts Epic Games in a pretty bad situation. In fact, according to the US government, Fortnite has to pay a total of $520 million in relief over allegations the company violated the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act and deployed design tricks known as dark patterns. Now, I've actually been wanting to talk about dark patterns for a little bit. I've been researching this ever since I was looking into the fall of Facebook, or Meta, simply because it's an interesting case to actually dive into. What are dark patterns, ladies and gentlemen? Well, most people don't really know this, but dark patterns have been around for a long time. And the general idea here is it's a deceptive design pattern. Basically, it's a user interface that's actually been carefully designed by psychologists and really unethical UI designers to actually trick you into doing things that may actually end up costing you money or your data over the long term. So I guess one of the best examples is known as privacy zuckering. Yes, Mark Zuckerberg is such a privacy fiend that he himself has been giving his own designation over dark pattern behavior. So have you ever used a Facebook application? Have you ever used any mobile application that ever looked into your contacts sheet? For instance, one application known as Facebook Messenger, which is their messaging application for Facebook network as a whole. One of the notifications people used to get was this one. Text anyone in your phone. Messenger will continuously upload your contacts to connect you with friends. So what actually happened over here was once you hit OK, typically your phone, iOS or Android, would then ask you, hey, do you want to provide access to your contacts book or your contacts for this specific application? Now, on the surface, it sounds pretty cool. You can text your friends and your family and everyone in between. But the grim reality of all of this was as soon as you hit OK, you were uploading your entire contact sheet over to Facebook Messenger. Now, continuously updating your contacts would then feed that contact information to Facebook. Your contact information includes first and last names of the people in your contact sheet, their email addresses, their numbers, you name it. By getting one person to download Facebook Messenger, they could be giving up the information of all of their friends and families to Facebook right there. Obviously, it's not just Facebook that does this. In fact, deceptive design pretty much has an entire shaming gallery that one can look through just to see various examples of this. One of them, for instance, is Avira Antivirus, or Norton Antivirus. There was a period when they introduced a crypto mining software. Yeah, remember when you downloaded antivirus tools to get rid of crypto miners? Imagine now those same antivirus tools just bundling the software as part of it. Obviously, some people would be incentivized to enable this and say you could make some money, but let's be honest. In the grand scheme of things, the company here is making more money since they have a large market share that they can pull from versus you, the average person, with your one computer. Then, of course, you also have other scenarios where even Skype, remember using that? Skype would even look through your contact sheet. To find your friends, we'll need to sync and store your contacts. You can turn this off at any time. Of course, you can turn it off after you've already uploaded your entire contact sheet in bulk to Microsoft servers. Sure, you could turn it off after we've already seen all the hundreds of people that you've added. Of course, these are just a few examples of what it is to have deceptive dark pattern advertising. So what did Fortnite necessarily do? Well, Fortnite's exact claim of dark patterns were where they were actually misbilling or actually unfairly billing users by placing things in the user interface or wording things in a weird manner. Now, before we go into it, dark patterns are so prevalent in free applications all over mobile devices and in your free-to-play games that in one actual detailed study, there was 240 apps that we were studying that were free. 95% included one or more dark patterns in their interfaces. all those patterns would be either nagging, the roach model, of course, as we already looked at, the privacy zuckering, the social pyramid, disguising the ads. Again, each of these applications would have one or more of these dark pattern behaviors. The average ended up being 7.4 malicious designs per application with a standard deviation of 5. So yeah, if you're in the free-to-play marketplace, you're going to be given dark patterns all the time. You're surrounded by them. There's no escaping this. At this point, we've been exposed to dark patterns so much that psychologically, we've kind of been able to negate them a little bit. But as we've evolved, psychologists are evolving their patterns as well too, which makes this sort of an arms race for deceptive UI. So I feel like we should read this actual complaint by the FTC a little bit closer. For instance, Epic is the developer and distributor of Fortnite, which is popular amongst kids. Though Fortnite itself is free to play to download and play, Epic charges consumers for in-game items, such as costumes, dance moves, and item-filled piñatas shaped like llamas. The problem is, in many cases, Epic employs myriad design tricks, like dark patterns, and charges consumers for such items without first obtaining their express, informed consent, and then has banned consumers from accessing previously paid-for content when they have disputed unauthorized charges with their credit card providers. Some of these charges could be completely unrelated to whatever they have actually legitimately purchased. So again, looking closer into it, let's get down into this entire deal. Millions of consumers have complained to Epic about these unfair practices and disputed Epic's unauthorized charges with their credit card providers. Epic's own employees have also repeatedly raised concerns about these practices. Yikes! So again, let's go down into where they mentioned the parents. Many parents have been surprised to learn that Epic charged them hundreds of dollars for kids' in-app activities that they did not authorize. For example, one parent complained to Epic, "Hello, Epic Games. The charges associated with this account were made without my authorization. This account is associated with my 10-year-old son's account, and I'm really disappointed that there's no check and balance that alerted me of these charges. And a 10-year-old can purchase coins worth almost $500 so easily." And remember, one dark pattern is literally sort of identifying real currency with fake in-game currency by making it look like you might be getting a better deal than ever presented. So instead of showing $10, they'll show you 1,000 coins or 10,000 V-Bucks, so on and so forth. It's a lot easier to look at than just $10. 1,000 of something is better than 10 of something. Hello, Epic Games. Epic Games is swindling parents with unauthorized game purchases, tricking young consumers, and using shady practices for billings. I authorized a one-time purchase for my 11-year-old son, only to discover that Epic Games did not erase my credit card info, and thus my son has been making unauthorized purchases, racking up $140 in less than 8 days after the initial authorized purchase. Again, this person literally just charged once, only to realize that they kept on getting charged up until they reached over $100 worth of purchases. Totally insane. So again, to obtain cosmetics, battle passes, and llamas, kids would use V-Bucks. For more than a year after Epic began offering in-app purchases, kids would acquire V-Bucks simply by pressing buttons with no parental or cardholder action or consent. At that point, Epic automatically billed the parents' stored payment information for the V-Bucks. Epic did not require parents to enter a PIN or password to authorize V-Buck purchases, which is something they should have done, especially when it comes to a credit card. I could imagine this going by on mobile systems where, like, if you maybe enabled a feature that said, hey, just do one-time authorization and just keep charging within like a certain 20, 30-minute or 24-hour window. If you were a parent, you should never have stored the credit card information on their servers to begin with. You should have made the purchase and then deleted all payment information right there and then, so your kid couldn't just keep billing that same credit card. Again, Epic should have put more preventative steps. I wouldn't even blame the parent so much as the actual person behind this, the actual company, Epic in this case. Then again, Epic denies consumers access to their Fortnite accounts. When consumers incur fraudulent or unauthorized charges to their credit cards, they have the right to dispute the charges through their financial institutions and request that the money be charged back to the company that initiated the charge. Since July 2017, Epic has received tens of thousands of chargebacks, totaling millions of dollars. In fact, Epic received so many chargebacks from consumers that Visa and MasterCard placed them in the respective monitoring programs, threatening Epic's ability to process consumer payments through their networks going forward. It was so bad that the payment processors threatened Epic. My God. Since at least February 2018, when consumers have disputed Epic's unauthorized charges with their credit card companies and asked that they be charged back, Epic has deactivated their Fortnite accounts regardless of the reason for the dispute or whether it was upheld, which I think is standard for most games, like if you just start charging back. But again, if you bought like a skin legitimately and then all of a sudden somebody bought another skin illegitimately, that chargeback should have been treated completely differently. But again, I can understand why Epic would block an account if it just charged back, period. I think most services do that. But Epic was, brought into this wholesale. So of course, they got 2 counts: unfair billing, which we read, and unfair denial of account access. Now, of course, Epic Games and Fortnite has actually been guilty of a lot of things. Now, there's a website that I use called Dark Pattern Games, which actually can isolate which games are worse when it comes to things like dark patterns. Fortnite has been given a score of bad. Now, a lot of this data has been sourced by the community, by a community vote, but here you can see which kind of dark patterns we've got. So, for instance, you've got playing by appointment, which is being forced to play to the game's schedule instead of yours, which is true, especially for competitive titles. You've also got infinite treadmill, which is impossible to win or complete the game. Again, I don't know how true this is. It's a multiplayer game that consistently evolves. You can't really ever reach the end of a live service product. So I feel like this might be a little bit this might be too much of a deceptive marker. Let's go look at the monetary patterns though. So you've got premium currency. Like I said earlier, 1,000 points of something is worth more than 10 of something. Then you've also got things like artificial scarcity, which is limited time offers with unnecessary urgency. For instance, you've even got, which is in my opinion right here, straight up, the fear of missing out, which is a social pattern. Now, this ties in really well to the artificial scarcity. The way that this works and fear of missing out, to best explain this, I'm going to use examples like Rainbow Six Siege and Grand Theft Auto Online, 2 games that I play. Now, typically in most online games, you're going to have a battle pass these days. The battle passes usually are 100 tiers where you basically level up a battle pass through in-game experience or completing challenges, and as you complete them, you gain access to new emotes, new skins, new rewards. Now, again, the reason why this falls under fear of missing out is you typically only have a limited amount of time to complete a battle pass. So for instance, in Call of Duty or Rainbow Six, I have like 60 days to complete the battle pass, around 2 months. Now, when it comes to Rainbow Six, just by playing the game like every so often, I can complete this battle pass. But let's say that I bought a battle pass. If I don't actively play Rainbow Six, I could lose those cosmetic rewards forever if I don't complete this pass, which means that I am basically, in a way, incentivized and kind of forced out of my own expenditure to keep playing this game. And the reason why this is a dark pattern is once you're playing the game, you might just consider buying extra things within a video game simply because you're logged in. Look, as an adult, fear of missing out is an absolutely real thing. If you parallel this to cryptocurrency, there's a lot of adults that have a fear of missing out simply because they think they could be as part of the next big wave, the next big thing. And for an adult, FOMO is a real aspect. Imagine this for a child. For instance, right now, Fortnite has a Witcher 3 skin right now, Geralt. This is going to be a limited time skin, okay, as any skin in this game usually is. Now, children who buy the Battle Pass may be incentivized to constantly be grinding the game, just so they can unlock these skins that they have basically paid for the privilege of unlocking. Now, of course, if kids have more access to it, they may choose to open up the shop and purchase other things present. Again, there's a lot of science and math and a lot of psychology that goes in to placing certain aspects in a UI and placing certain items so that children will jump in and buy things, or people will jump in and spend their money when they normally don't have to, okay? That's just how dark pattern behavior works. So again, Fortnite's been considered guilty of breaching a bunch of these things, especially towards children. And you know what? Honestly, I can't disagree with the FTC in this entirely. Fortnite has had these practices for a long time. And you know what? These practices could exist throughout any form of online gaming. It's not just Fortnite. You know, even if you play games like Grand Theft Auto Online, imagine, Imagine today, GTA Online said, hey, listen, there's a car available in the game only for this week. You got to log in, play an hour each day. Could you imagine how much FOMO that would trigger somebody who's playing the game? They would unironically, okay, I'm not joking here, artificially play the game for an hour each day just so they can get access to that specific item because they would have the fear of missing out. It's a lot of psychology with these games, and especially gacha games like Genshin Impact, where this is taken to the nth extreme. And it's basically created a world where these games are not just games anymore, they're Skinner boxes for exploiting the most abusive aspects of our psychology, just so we can constantly keep pumping in money and constantly keep pumping in hours. Gaming is big business these days, and honestly, we've seen probably the worst aspects of it, especially with games like Fortnite. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Fortnite's been hit with this crazy fine, but honestly, it's not a fine that's big enough for them. Again, this is the same game that's made somewhere around $10 billion in like 2 years. So it's not as if it matters that Fortnite got hit with like a little teeny tiny $500 million fine that Epic can easily take care of. But ladies and gentlemen, given the fact that this has now become, a point to raise amongst people everywhere, what other game is actually going to get hit? Look, not too long ago, I made a video about Roblox where kids can go in and just start fucking gambling on slots and basically play games of chances with Roblox currencies that literally did not even do an ID check on anybody. So again, I think we have to start looking at a lot of these games with a serious touch to it. I would argue Roblox is infinitely worse than Fortnite. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out.